Okay, we'll see here. I meant to do a video going over my heavy drills after I did my Flingzo one, but some stuff came up IRL, so I just didn't get around to it as quickly as I intended to, so I'm going to do that right now. A lot of these are going to have certain similarities to Flingzo, but because heavy shoots differently and has different mechanics, they apply to this instead. And then I also have, like, I adapt these to, like, mini and hydro and whatever. So it isn't just heavy, it's just heavy is the one I play right now. Okay, so the main thing on the right side is, of course, Splatlings. Not and Ballpoint have the recharge, but the other ones you charge up and then that's it. So a lot of the time, the way I judge my Splatling, like how effective I am with aim at the moment, is how many targets I can hit in one charge. And so of course my goal usually is to hit 4. That's kind of rough. But yeah, I'll usually try to hit 4. Like, the further apart you're jumping, like if you jump from this one to that one, that one to that one, I'm less likely to hit 4. But if I do, like, all of them in a row, like this, on a good day I can actually hit all 5. So I think it's worth keeping in mind that the further apart you go between dummies, the harder it is to hit more of them. But I usually just try to, like, pick a random number and try to hit 4 if I can. And when I started doing this, I was aiming more for 3 because I just wasn't as consistent with aim at the time. And right now, I haven't really played the game much in the last week or 2, so I'm a bit rusty, but yeah, I try to go for 3 or 4. If I'm going just right to left, I'll sometimes go for 5. But it's very hard to actually get all 5. And then, just like with Flings, I do this with all of my weapons. I go up top to get aim looking down. This is especially helpful on Kelp Dome, where you're on grades aiming down. Because that kind of aiming is something that is very awkward if you're not used to it. And even as somebody who actually practices it, it still feels awkward. Because you just don't aim down as often. So I'm trying to, like, it's definitely harder for me to hit 4 aiming down, so I usually aim for 3 when I'm in that setting, but it's something I'm trying to work up. Just like, something about downward aiming just always feels awkward. I think part of that's just that you don't aim down very often, so you get less mechanical experience with it. So that's mostly what I do on the right side. I might also do like partial charges, where I just charge up a bit and then shoot. And I'll do that up top as well. That's the main thing I'll do on the right side. Okay, this is Wiltsy from like 2 days after I recorded this. I just forgot to mention a little thing I do with pretty much every weapon for my drills, and that's to sort of offset my camera and then turn it back by hand. So right now, like, my hands are aimed to the left, and that just kind of allows me to practice aim with kind of like that off-center camera. Because in an actual match, you're not always going to have your hands facing straight forward at the start of a fight. So I think it's good to practice being in sort of an off angle by default. So I think that's the only thing I really missed in this video, so I'm gonna go back to the regular video I recorded like 2 days ago. Left side, I usually kind of do something similar to what I did with Flingzo, where I pick a random order to hit all 3, but in this case, I try to go with 1 full charge. So in order to keep it as random as possible, a lot of time I'll pick an order. For in this case, let's do front, back, middle. Then as soon as it stops charging, I go for it. And so that's something I'll do, where I just kind of pick an order, charge, shoot in that order. Pick an order, charge, shoot in that order. And then on top of that, also go down here and just kind of do something similar, but from ground level and closer to them, so they kind of move around more in relation to myself. So let's do middle, back, front. I missed that one. But you can kind of get the idea. And of course, that's to kind of get used to tracking targets. And that's really the main things I do for drills. I also might go into recon mode. Recon mode's actually pretty nice. I'll just go in and kind of just find places where I can reach, if that makes sense. Let's wait for it to load in. These maps are a bit weird. But I'll sort of just go in and try to find areas where I can really make the most out of the specific range Heavy has. So if I'm up here, I want to see how far my range reaches. And keep in mind that paint goes further than your actual shooting range. So if I shoot out here, you can see I'm painting all the way out there. But where my shots are reaching looks more like here-ish. You can kind of see that from, like, if you pay attention to where it falls off. You can kind of see where the shots start falling off is where your max range is usually at. But you can kind of just get an idea for where you can make the most of your range, where you can reach. And another thing is fall off. I mean, I will make jokes about fall off being a dumb meme, but it can be useful in certain situations. So like just getting used to hitting fall off behind walls and obstacles. And just getting those angles right. And there's also certain parts of the map where like you'll just be at the right range to hit fall off well. Like that. That's kind of just what I do on recon mode. I'll just go around, find good positions to make use out of Heavy's range. Especially areas like this that have an obstacle to hide behind. Especially against Charger, helps a lot to just charge up your charge. You can kind of just like go around, go from obstacle to obstacle. You do see me canceling charges. That's something I usually do. By just pressing left trigger. There's not really anything too crazy I do with Heavy. There are a few little things I can go over in regards to the other kits. There's not really anything specific I do with Remix his kit. But like Vanilla, there's something I do that I've picked up from really good Heavy players. And that's to just throw out a sprinkler before you start fighting. And part of the reason for that is that it will actually soak up some shots if they hit the sprinkler instead. So there's a lot of different things throwing a sprinkler will do when you start a fight. One is just the paint itself, which makes the opponent less likely to dodge your shots. And another is, of course, what I just said, where like, if they hit the sprinkler instead of you, then the sprinkler just sort of tanks some damage for you. And the other is what you're seeing now, it kind of deals damage sometimes. Where like if it potentially could turn it from a 4-shot to a 3-shot. Of course that's not the reason you do it, but it's just a little added bonus, but this is especially useful if it's more of like a surprise where somebody sneaks up on you. You can just throw it on the sprinkler and then do a partial charge or something. It's not overpowered or anything. It's just like a nice little thing you can do with this heavy. It's part of the reason I don't like the fact that Remix has point sensor, because it just doesn't feel as useful as Sprinkler or Splash Wall. With Splash Wall, it can seem a little bit hard to use with heavy, but I don't find that to be too big of an issue. You just want to be very smart about it because it uses up so much ink. But it can actually be really nice in certain situations. And there's like the bouncing off the wall thing that you might see. I just messed it up there. You can kind of like bounce it off a wall to get it closer to you. And there's a few maps where you can do other specific sprinkler, or not sprinkler, splash wall tricks. But I'm not gonna go into those right now. I don't really have anything to say about the bubbles though. A lot of time you can like throw out the wall and then use bubbles to keep yourself alive, but there's no insta-pop trick or anything like that. You pretty much have to throw out the walls and then throw out the bubbles and then pop them later. Which is part of the reason why a lot of people don't like Deco. Yeah, Remix doesn't have any specific tricks to the kit though. And again, like I said, I use something similar to with Mini and Hydra, where you kind of... somebody doing 3 or 4 targets per charge, depending on the situation. With Hydra, I'll go for 6 or 7. With Mini, I'll go for 2. So I can pull out the Hydra. I messed that up a little bit, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. Where I'm hitting all 5, and then I'm going back and starting over from the beginning. I'll do that over on this side too, where I'll hit all 3, and then I'll hit the first one again. So that's pretty much just gonna be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Heavy's the weapon I've had the most experience with, even though I don't play it nearly as much these days. So, see you in the next video.